My name is Elizabeth Taylor. I've been coming with my family to First Reformed Church for about 2.5 years. We are leaving this month and moving 3,800 miles across the country to sunny Florida and starting a new adventure there. And we're sure that God's going to bless us there just as much as He's blessed us here. I've been a Christian for about 8 or 9 years, I guess 9 years. And obviously, I have not had Christ in my life my whole life. I was raised in an abusive home. It was very unstable, and there was just so much dysfunction. And as a child and through my adult life, it kind of created this kind of vacuum in me where I really just wanted to be loved and accepted, and that never happens. I didn't have any God in my life at all. My family was not religious. I was baptized as an infant at the request of my grandmother, but that's about where it ended. And so obviously I had a tumultuous upbringing. This led to a lot of bad decisions, a lot of heartache that I created for myself along the way, just trying to fill up that need to be loved. And things sort of came to a head for me when I was in my middle 20s. I was sort of living a dual life, kind of stuck between being extremely perfectionistic and also extremely self-destructive. I was in a lot of self-destructive relationships, and I really didn't have any idea who I was at all. And so the peak of everything kind of collapsing was I had dropped out of physician's assistant school. So I lost my ambition, and I kind of lost my sense of self. And then my engagement got broken off 3 weeks before the wedding. And that kind of sent me over the falls. And I was just lost. I was kind of wandering around, traumatized, lost, and kind of everything that had happened in my life started catching up to me, and all the trauma and all the heartache. It was just like all at once, there it was, and I had to deal with it. So a lady at my work, whom I didn't even really like, invited me to a coffee house, and I went, and it was at her church, and there was a bluegrass group playing, and I'd been out of music for a long time, so I was really excited by them. I was really happy to hear them. So I heard them again another night when they were playing in a different church. And then eventually I started going to the church that a lot of them went to. And of course I started singing at the church, and really that was the only reason I was going to church, is because I was singing. I mean, that was what got me out of bed on Sunday morning, because like my life was a mess. Then I found out I was pregnant, and I was pretty sure that they were going to kick me off the worship team, and then I would have nothing again. So when I got to church that day, I didn't even make it inside before I collapsed crying, and the worship director, she came out and she talked to me, and I told her what happened, and she told me that that was my past, and basically God was my future, and that, you know, they were going to accept me and just let me keep singing and let me keep coming to church. And I mean, that moment was so pivotal in my life, because if they had rejected me, I don't know where I would have been. My fiance started coming to church too, and we did get married, and obviously we're still married, and we have 3 kids now. I learned that Christianity and becoming a Christian doesn't mean that all your problems go away, and not that I've learned to like the painful situations that I'm often finding myself in, but I've learned to appreciate that it's during those times of deepest hurt and trial that God grows you the most. And you guys didn't know me back then, but the difference between me then and now and how I handle things is just amazing, and can only be credited to God's work in me. And I'm really thankful that it's not my responsibility to change myself, that I have zero power to change myself, that I just have to go along with God and just be ready and accepting of His will, like even when it's through the darkest times. because my life still hasn't gotten it that much easier, but I found my peace has increased, and I'm able to just get through the trials just relying on God. And one of my favorite things about becoming a Christian is calling out to Abba and as my Father, and imagining myself literally curled up at the feet of Jesus, like laying on his feet and resting in that place of pain or whatever's going on, even in the place of joy. Like, that is my greatest comfort. And that love and acceptance that I had been clawing for my whole life came through Christ, and the peace that came with that is exactly what I was looking for. I didn't have to fill it up with all these other things. I didn't have to be destructive. I don't have to self-protect. I can live and be free and rely on God. I love Jesus because he accepts me and loves me the way I am, even on my bad days, even on the days when I'm not a good mom or not a good wife or not a good singer or whatever. He doesn't judge me and say, I'm not going to love you today because you didn't do what I wanted you to do. And just that gives me freedom to be who I am and still love Jesus and still try to do right by him. But I'm not judged. I'm not, what's the word? I'm loved, fully accepted. It's not based on my performance. Thank you, Jesus. And it's just freeing. I frankly can't imagine what I would be like now without him and what he's done for me. And I hope that in the end of all of it, that maybe some of my pain will be a testimony to somebody, and the way that God has gotten me through some of the things in my life, at the end of my life, will say something good and point someone to Christ.